Hey everyone, I'm Trey with Cold Blooded Caffeine. Today I wanted to talk about a recent article that was published that really aligns with Cold Blooded Caffeine's mission of bringing great specialty roasted coffee to as many people as possible, while also ensuring that we are contributing to the sustainability and the wildlife conservation initiatives within those coffee producing countries. A recent meta-analysis study called Effects of Shade on Biodiversity Within Coffee Farms really shed some light on how different coffee farming practices can impact biodiversity within that region. Researchers looked at three distinct types of farms within the study. Ones that were full sun, ones that had 6 to 30% canopy cover, and then ones that had over 30% canopy cover. The results of the study were pretty eye-opening. Across the board, high shade farms supported significantly higher species diversity compared to both sun and low shade farms. But it's not just about the numbers, it's about the intricate web that these different species form within those ecosystems. Now let's break it down even further by looking at some of the key groups of plant and animals that were identified in the study. First, let's take a look at insects. The study found that butterfly diversity increased with shade, while bees actually preferred less shaded areas. Ants, crucial players in pest control as well as a food source, showed significantly higher diversity in shaded farms. This mix of preferences highlights the importance of diverse habitats. Birds are also very clear winners within those high shade systems. These farms provide crucial habitats for many species, including migratory birds that rely on these areas as stopover points. The complex canopy offers nesting sites, food resources, and protection from extreme temperatures. Mammals, including some threatened species such as leopards and monkeys, also showed higher diversity within these shade systems. These areas can act as corridors, allowing animals to move between fragmented forest habitats. Even many different species of plants can benefit from these high shade environments. Epiphytes, plants that grow on other plants, showed higher diversity in shade farms as well. These plants, such as many species of bromeliads, ferns, orchids, and mosses, are essential ecosystem engineers providing microhabitats for countless number of species. Interestingly enough, it wasn't just across the board that these high shade systems showed increased biodiversities. When you look at different regions throughout the world, there was a difference in the biodiversity preference between high shade and full sun. In Latin America, for instance, high shade was pretty much across the board a contributor to higher biodiversity. In Africa, however, we see the complete opposite. We see a higher biodiversity of species within more full sun farms as opposed to higher shade farms. This highlights the importance of regionally specific conservation strategies. There isn't an across-the-board solution when it comes to biodiversity. Now, because Cold Blooded Caffeine is focused more on the reptile and amphibian conservation initiatives, I did think it was important to mention that even though the study didn't specifically call out herpetofauna, we can see a direct correlation between the other species that were studied and the impacts on reptiles and amphibians. Because, for instance, insect biodiversity increased, which the study did mention, we can deduce that the populations of the reptiles and amphibians that are going to be feeding on those insects or living in the same habitats as those insects are going to also benefit from having that increased biodiversity. Also, things like bromeliads, ferns, and other epiphytes that are benefiting from shade coffee farms, they're going to be micro ecosystems for many species of reptiles and amphibians, such as like dart frogs, tree frogs, and many other species that live most of their lives around and in these micro ecosystems. So what does this mean for us? For Cold Blooded Caffeine, I think it helps align with our entire mission and our vision for our company. We want to make sure that we're doing the best that we can to be good stewards of our resources, and in an industry that has had a tumultuous history with sustainability and not always doing what's best for the environment to pursue profits. We want to be a trendsetter. We want to be going out and trying to do our best to make sure that we're sourcing coffee in the best way that we can, that we're sourcing shade-grown coffee or specialty-grown coffee when at all possible, when that's available to us, so that we can reinforce that within the market, so that we can put money where our mouth is, so that we can encourage farmers and other specialty coffee roasters to plant more shade-grown coffee and to source more shade-grown coffee when that is an option. So let's talk about implications to the market. So, of course, when you're talking about shade-grown coffee versus full sun coffee, the benefit of full sun coffee is that you can plant more coffee trees on that specific allotment of land than you could if you're having to place them around shade trees. So as a result, shade-grown coffee, specialty coffee that's grown within a shaded environment, is going to cost more. There's just no other way around that. And that's something that I think the market is going to have to adjust to if it's going to be something that is deemed important enough for consumers to spend their extra money on. Of course, we think that's the case, but really the market's going to speak for it. So what we have to do as specialty coffee roasters with that focus on wildlife conservation is we have to continue to put that product out, and we have to continue to send that message out to as many people as we can, emphasizing the importance of shade-grown coffee and its impact on sustainability and in biodiversity within those ecosystems. So just as a quick recap, there isn't a one-size-fits-all solution, right? So we have to keep that in mind. So when we're talking about Africa, we're talking about a different conservation strategy. We're not talking about placing an entire emphasis on shade-grown coffee because we actually see the benefits in those ecosystems of full sun environments. The plant and animal life in those regions benefits from full sun. However, when we're looking at Latin America, it's the complete opposite. We're talking about rainforest habitats. We're talking about habitats that historically have a lot of canopy cover. In those habitats, it's important for us to emphasize shade-grown coffee and reward growers that are taking that initiative to grow shade-grown coffee. The only way that we can make a change within that market is to create demand for that coffee. When there is demand, there is change. By creating demand for that shade-grown coffee, we're encouraging farmers to produce it, therefore increasing the supply within that market. That allows roasters such as Cold Blooded Caffeine to get the word out about the importance of this specific type of coffee. It's really important as consumers, regardless of what product we're purchasing, to put our money where our mouth is. If we continue to encourage businesses to produce lower quality, less sustainable products, then that's what is going to be available to us because that's what the demand shows that consumers want to purchase. So just keep in mind as you go about your morning cup of coffee, think about where that coffee came from. Think about how it originated. Think about the country and the grower and the ecosystems that it's supporting. If it's not supporting the right ecosystem, it might be time to rethink that cup of coffee. Each cup of coffee has the ability to produce a powerful impact within that market. It's up to us to decide whether we want to take the initiative to do that. Remember, every cup of shade-grown specialty coffee is a win for wildlife conservation. As you sip on that cup, it's a daily reminder of the power that each person can have on making purchasing decisions that will impact a global market. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helped to teach a little bit more about the different methods of growing coffee in terms of shade versus full sun. And I hope that it also reinforced the idea that you and your purchasing power is important in terms of the growth of the coffee market going forward. If you did enjoy this video, please consider subscribing to our channel. Give this video a like or a comment and let us know what else you want to hear. It could be anything from wildlife conservation efforts to how to brew coffee or anything in between. We would love to hear from you. If you're looking for a way to support Cold Blooded Caffeine and our mission to improve wildlife conservation efforts within coffee producing countries, check out our website at coldbloodedcaffeine.com. We'll talk to you again very soon.